What's up, Builders Club TV Nation? You got Dewan Jones here, your professional stay-at-home dad, and I'm super fired up and excited, family. We got a phenomenal individual once again on the show with us tonight. Entrepreneur, business mentor, health fitness professional. This young lady is doing some remarkable things in this industry, helping a lot of people, which is the best thing about this industry is you get to help a lot of people, and she is doing that very well. We got Alyssa Favreau on the show, family. Let me get myself on camera, as always, to thank you and let you know that we definitely appreciate you for tuning in to the show. Thank you for sharing the information about the show and letting everyone know that the Builders Club TV Nation is finally here. And so we appreciate you, and we're going to continue to grow with you and continue to bring extreme value to the culture of home business. Let me make sure that we got Alyssa on the show with us. Alyssa, can you hear me okay? Awesome. Let me get you on camera so we can speak to you a little bit and talk to you about what's going on in your neck of the woods. There you go. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Man, we're doing fantastic in Builders Club TV world. When we found out that you be coming on, we got very, very excited. We know you have a great story, a great journey, and we're just excited to, listen to your story. That's what it's all about on the show, really, Alyssa. So we want to thank you for coming on to the Builders Club TV show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Well, if you've seen what we do on the show a little bit, we have what we call the Builders Club TV time machine. And we basically throw our guests into our, make-believe time machine and so you can take us back into your past, and so that we can see, your journey, or get a bird's eye view of your journey and learn about your path to success. We found out through so many different interviews with phenomenal people like yourself, there's so much to learn when you look into the past of successful people. Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree. I think that every single decision and every single journey is so unique, and it leads that person right to where they are today. So I completely agree.
Right. So, man, we're fired up. We're ready and excited. So I guess the first question we always like to ask our guests is, where they've been. So what were you doing before you found out about network marketing and working from home?
Sure. Well, I guess my journey to network marketing actually started. Both of my parents are actually pretty successful entrepreneurs themselves. One has a traditional business. My dad owns a very successful tax firm, wow. And my mom actually has been in network marketing for, I want to say, about the last 25 years. Wow. It might have been longer, but so I grew up actually around network marketing, and it was really great. I was raised with both entrepreneur parents, right? And both parents made a lot of sacrifices. Both parents worked really, really hard to get where they were. Both parents were successful in their given industry or profession. But what I saw at the end of the day was that my dad, even though he has a very successful tax firm, he at the end of the day still has to show up in order to receive a paycheck, right? Right. He still has to be at the office, right? He has to manage his employees. He has to deal with all of the really the aches and pains of owning your own business, truly owning a business, brick and mortar business. Now, what I saw in comparison was my mother, who really was able to create what we call time freedom that we talk about so much in network marketing, and that she no longer had to work as hard as she was working in the beginning, in order to really enjoy her business, and she could do her business from wherever, whenever. Now, I wish that I would have seen that direct comparison and noticed a lot earlier that network marketing was for me. But for a lot of years, I actually didn't think that network marketing was for me. Wow. So I think just as a child, you always just think that you have to, you want to blaze your own path, right? You want to find everyone has their own journey. And so I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree. I started going to work in corporate marketing. And I, very soon saw that it was one of my mentors who told me to look at the person who has who is your manager, right? Or your manager's manager, right? And you have to take a look at the totem pole, right, of success, and look at the person at the very top, and ask yourself, do I want to be in their position? Do I want their life? Do I want what they're doing every single day, right? Wow. Because at the end of the day, that's where you're really trying to basically climb that ladder, right? That corporate ladder. And so at the end of the day, I looked at the person who was at the top and I just thought, that's not what I want, right? That's they're working countless hours. They are stressed out. They aren't able, maybe they have financial success, but they're not able to actually have the time in order to really enjoy that success, right? And so then it all kind of circled back around to how I was raised. I was raised with my father, who was a successful brick and mortar business owner, and then my mom, who did network marketing. For a lot of years, I didn't think that network marketing was for me because I didn't identify myself as a salesperson, really. And that's what I thought network marketing really was. And it wasn't until about 4.5 years ago that I took a step back from my life and I asked myself, what do I want 5 years from now from my life, right? And I knew that I had recently gotten married. I wanted to have children eventually, and I knew that I would eventually have to either choose, right, going back to work after having children, or stop working completely and stay at home. But I saw that alternate route that was actually a path that was paved by my mother, of doing network marketing. And the more that I kind of got into it, the more that I realized that of course I didn't identify as a salesperson, but what it was those relationships, right? It really is relationship marketing, and being able to find and identify those people who need either an extra source of income or the products that your specific company has, right? And then going to work and being willing to do the work day in and day out, of really finding that. And so 4.5 years later, I'm happy to say that I've been able to create an income that allows me to stay at home with my son, but also that I'm able to pay someone to come and help out for a couple hours a day, so that I have the ability to do both. Yeah, to do both. And so that's actually why I'm in my car right now, because he was taking a nap in my house. And so, motherhood and navigating motherhood is a whole new journey, but network marketing truly has been the facilitator to allow me to have really everything that I wanted in motherhood.
And I want to talk to you a little bit about motherhood and network marketing, because there's a lot of mothers that are going to be watching, and they're going to have questions, as far as how you're able to, operate at a high level and still be a great mother at the same time. That can be challenging, right? Juggling business and motherhood. But you did mention something before I talk to you about that. You mentioned, entrepreneurship, and you kind of touched on, I'll say it like this. A lot of people think automatically that entrepreneurship equates to freedom and success and time freedom. And, because you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have all this free time, and you're going to be traveling in the world and living it up. Right. But really, a lot of people who become entrepreneurs find out right away that it's really about the kind of business you design that really determines how much freedom you're going to have. Because you could have a business. You can own a business, but your business can own you, right? And so
your business can own you. Yeah,
exactly. Even in this industry, you have people who have high levels of success, but built a business in such a way that there was no freedom elements attached to it, the way they built it, the fashion in which they built it. And now, because the success is here, you can't just stop what you've been doing. You got to keep doing it to keep it up. But you realize, man, I have this success, but I don't really have the freedom that I thought I was going to have, right? Can you speak to that a little bit? How are you able to add the freedom element and, with the success? That makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think that that's also an important point to make. Not only is it very happens very frequently to business owners with brick and mortar businesses, but it also happens within network marketing, right? So, and what can happen over time is it can lead to burnout. Is essentially what it does, right? And if you don't create, have systems that are in place for your team and for your organization, which at the end of the day, it takes you away from your business rather than you basically micromanaging your business, right? I think that's a lesson a lot of people have to learn very early on, is that there are tools that are in place in order to take people through processes and so that you can basically point people to tools all along the way so that you don't become the tool that is used, right? And what I learned so early on is that it's so important to train those associates that are, or those distributors or whatever it is in your organization, that you are the person that points to tools, but you yourself are not the tools, right? So at the end of the day, I could be the person that they call and I'm on the phone for 30 minutes to an hour trying to explain something to them and everything, or I can point to a tool and I can enable them and really empower them to be able to find those answers for themselves, right? And it's really in creating and fostering leadership within your organization that does allow that time freedom over time, right? But if you have your hands on every single thing in your organization and you're even the customer service line and everything, you're going to create a whole lot of work for yourself in the long run.
That's good stuff. I definitely want to transition back to the motherhood versus business and network marketing, or because here's the thing. One of the biggest frustrations that, parents, in general might have is time management with children. You got homework, you got after school activities, you got, chores, you got cooking, and then you got to take care of yourself, right? A lot of people are trying, because there's no classes that are teaching this, or at least none that I know about, right? Teaching you how to manage your time. We don't learn time management in school, which is probably should become like math and social studies, just as important, right? So as a mother, at a high level, operating at a high level in this industry like yourself, what's a typical day like for Alyssa Favreau, and how do you manage to build a successful business and still be a great homemaker and a mother?
So something that I've learned in my new motherhood journey. So my little boy is just about 9 months old, and so it's been a steep learning curve as a mother. There's it's just everything in your life changes, but the one thing that I have learned so far is that I cannot do it all. Is the honest truth, right? I think that as mothers, we take on this role for ourselves that we have to be able to do everything and that means you have to be you have to be doing all of the housework. You've got to be playing with the kids. You've got to be, like you said, like dropping them off at after school activities. You've got to be doing XYZ, everything. And if there's one thing that I've learned, it's number one, to figure out the one thing in my day that I can do every single day in order to move my business forward. There is a book called The One Thing, right? Where basically the question is, what is the one thing that I can do today that by doing so basically either mitigates everything else that I need to accomplish, or everything else will kind of fall into place that way, right? And so so really what it became as a mother was what the one thing that I can do every single day is that I can be talking to new people, right, about my business or opportunity, right? So filling that funnel so that funnel will continue to sort itself, essentially. And so what I do, the sacrifices that I make, I've learned that in order to be a successful mother, first off, that I cannot do it alone. And so being able to outsource, kind of like I mentioned, where I have someone who comes to my house a couple of hours, and I have them come a couple hours every single day. But I have so many people who believe that they cannot afford to have someone come to their house even for an hour, right? An hour, 1 or 2 days a week even. And what I challenge people to, and mothers especially, is that you cannot afford not to, right? That those very specific times where you can focus directly on your business, you cannot afford to not have someone who is going to assist you in that process, right? The dividends that is going to pay is exponentially greater than the investment that you make. I think a lot of mothers are afraid to make an investment in their business. You have to remember, at the end of the day, this is a business, right? And so in order to function in your business, you have to make investments, right? And so you have to invest in your business, and whether that's, paying your neighbor or whoever it may be, recruiting your spouse as well to help out and say, hey, from this time to this time, I would really like some help, and I need to find a way to make my business really work, right? So that's number one that I really do believe, is that mothers cannot do it all, and that it really is important to outsource the things that are not or that basically aren't as important, right? So that you can set aside time to really focus on your business. Number two that I'm going to say is that there are going to be sacrifices that in order to be a mother, right, and also have a business, there are going to be sacrifices along the way. So I make sure that I wake up about an hour earlier than my son does every single day, so that I can do that one thing that I need to accomplish that day, right? So I wake up an hour early, and the first thing that I'm doing is I am basically prospecting using social media, right? Making sure that I'm reaching out to new people in that hour of time that I have before my son wakes up. And then the rest of the day are the things, whatever happens the rest of the day is going to happen, right? But what I can do is I can set aside time right before he wakes up in the morning to make sure that I am building my business, essentially. And that's the time that I set aside. And then I have, and then there's naps, right? So, and then during his nap time, I literally set everything else aside and I focus on my business, right? So it may be a couple of hours every single day that I have. And then at the end of the day, after he goes to bed, then I dedicate another hour, right? After he goes to bed, then I sit down and I wrap up the day. But what the most important thing I think that I do before the next day is write down a list of things that just a couple of things, maybe 2 or 3 things that I want to accomplish the next day. So I found that organization, right? So that's going to be my third thing, is organizing your time and prioritizing your time, right? So that first hour in the day, I know exactly what I'm doing. Right. And then the night before, those other small pockets of time that I have throughout the day, those are going to be the other things that are on my to-do list. Because if I don't have a plan, especially as a mom, you plan to fail, right? You plan to fail throughout the day because things are always going to come up. There's always going to be something, right? I know you have a little one yourself. It is busy, right? So it's just important to make sure that you're prioritizing your time and setting aside time for your business. So those are kind of my tips that I would have for mothers.
Anything, you're pretty visual online as well, social media, and any advice for moms or anybody really who's not taking advantage of social media? Maybe they don't have a website. Everyone has a company website, but your own personal website that brands you. Do you have any advice for anyone like not using the tools of today, the innovation of today? Any advice for people who are still trying to decide whether they should go that route, if it's important to be on social media, or what do you think?
Sure. So I believe in really leveraging the online with the offline, right? So so if someone is not necessarily open to using and leveraging social media to build their business, the most important thing that they can do every single day is talking to new people. So however you decide to talk to new people is up to you, right? So as a mother, you can absolutely talk to new people every single day that are at the park, taking your child to the park. You can take your child, the different activities and things that your child has scheduled throughout the day. Absolutely. But the number one thing you need to be doing every single day is talking to new people. Now, for me, it's easier for me to start to talk to new people because of that hour I have before my son wakes up in the morning is usually a time that most people aren't usually up, right? So it is beneficial for me to leverage social media because I'm able to start conversations and everything using social media. But the number one factor, I think that the principle will never change throughout network marketing, right? So the actions and the activities that we do might change a little bit, but the principle is talking to new people every single day. So however you decide to talk to new people is up to you, but you have to talk to new people. So it's just figuring out a way to have more conversations with people because the person who's having the most conversation truly does win, right? At the end of the day.
Right. No, that's good stuff. It truly is a lifestyle business, incorporating your lifestyle with, how you operate your business. No, that's 100% on point. Man, we appreciate you for sharing this knowledge with us. We know it doesn't come cheap, right? This is literally $1 million information, and we are definitely appreciative of this knowledge that you're sharing with us. We hope this won't be the last time we see you on the Builders Club TV show. We definitely want to have you back because there's so much more we'd like to ask you, especially like you said, being a mother, operating at a high level in this industry is amazing. So of course there's so much we can learn from you. We know you got to run, but if you take a quick second with us, we do want to play a quick little game with you that we've been playing with our guests, and they've been loving it. The family loves it. We get a lot of value from it. We call it a word of advice with the mentor. And the way we play, Alyssa, it's real simple. I'm going to shoot some words at you and a few words, and you're going to give us back a word of advice using that word. Does that make sense?
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
So you got it?
Yeah. Just one word, right? Or just a word of advice using the one word that you give me.
Right. I'm going to give you a few words, and then whatever advice you give us is going to be based on that word I'm giving you.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So the first word is time.
Time is money. The way that you are, time is the thing that you're never going to get back, right? So the way that you, it's the number one thing that you will never get back. And so how you spend your time will dictate how your entire life goes, right? So someone shows me their schedule and someone shows me what they have planned for the entire day, and how they choose to spend their time is going to be how they dictate their life. Amazing.
The next word is sacrifice.
This business is not built without sacrifice. I truly believe that you can't, if you are serious about building this business, there are going to be sacrifices along the way, but those sacrifices, while knowing what your end goal is and end result will be worthwhile.
Absolutely. The next word we have for you, Alyssa, is process.
Making sure that you have a process that you follow in order to bring new people into your business will determine the success of your business.
Awesome. The next word is build.
Build other people up. That's been my favorite thing in network marketing and in being involved in this business is the ability to show people their potential and to build them up so that they feel empowered to step into their own power.
Awesome. Awesome. The very last word that we have for you is focus.
You may not be able to focus 100% of your time on building your business, but if you are able to dedicate 100% focus to your business, even 20 to 30% of your time, And really, without distraction, you can do pretty remarkable things in this business.
Amazing, amazing. You are a true testament to that. We certainly appreciate you coming on to the show. You crushed the game as we expected. We definitely got to have you back. We've enjoyed having you on. There's definitely a few more questions we want to ask you, more information we want to pick from your brain. So we appreciate you coming on to the show. We definitely got to have you back, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome. There you have it, family. Alyssa Favreau. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Take care.